Let's try that again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into tonight's coverage of Challenger Cup Series race number 10 of the season from Talladega Superspeedway. Here as we round into the middle portions of this regular season. My name is Dawson Wise. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Apologies for the late start. I know we're quite a ways into this one, but you have not missed a ton. 2x2 racing on the racing surface right now as these guys work lap 13 of a 75-lap main event here tonight. Again, round 10 of the series brings us to NASCAR's biggest and baddest at Talladega Superspeedway, following along with the Cup Series schedule. And so far tonight, not a ton has gone down. A few cars have lost the draft. Brandon Beauchamp, Mike Martino, and Justin Malarkey in the 73. If you'll remember, Justin Malarkey stealing away a win a few weeks back in Darlington. So Malarkey, the 73, got his win a few weeks ago. Harold Watkins got his win a couple weeks ago in Bristol on a pit call. Got his third win of the year, of this young season back in Bristol a few weeks ago. And now we had NASCAR's biggest and baddest, and now is where we could have a bit of a wild card. Remember back, crank this down just a little bit more for us tonight. Remember back to Daytona week, and I specifically made a note to say that these races are wild cards, or tend to be wild cards, in the sense that anybody on track can win. At other tracks, sometimes that doesn't really happen. Let's just be completely honest. There are going to be guys that at times are the fastest guys on track. And this season, it's kind of been the same. Harold Watkins, GT Irizarry, Christian Schrader, guys like that have kind of separated themselves from the field. But when you come to Talladega Superspeedway or Daytona International Speedway, you get an opportunity for a wild card winner. Somebody that maybe, and this is not meant to be disrespectful to any drivers, but it's not necessarily, as I'm sending a message, I'm sending out the link again one more time. Go ahead and hit the share button, hit the like button while you're at it, hit the subscribe as well here on PGR eSports. But when we come to these racetracks, when we get to these situations, it's just a little bit different. Anybody that starts the race and is on the lead lap when the white flag flies can win in this race car. So you're going to see some of that tonight. You're going to see maybe a guy win tonight that at times this season's not had the pace of other tracks, has had a rough start to the season, did not get the start that he wanted. Those drivers could easily win tonight. Case in point, a debuting driver tonight running position number 2 on the racetrack right now is in the field with 60 laps to go on a lap 16. I'm trying to find a zoomed in camera. I don't think I actually have one on this camera set. I thought I did. I don't. But case in point is this 12 machine running position number 2. That is Curtis Preston. Tonight is his first start in the Challenger Cup Series season here in 2025, and it comes to Talladega, and he could easily win. He could go to victory lane, he could get the job done, and could easily make an opening statement in this series right off the bat here in his first career Challenger Cup Series start. We could see it tonight. That's the kind of things that can happen. Another example, and he jumped out of line and dropped some spots, is now out of the draft a little bit, was going to be Stephen Racing in the 21. I guarantee you, if you asked Stephen Racing before tonight, if he had the start of the season that he wanted, he would have said no. Tonight, he could change that, though. You could win, you could punch your ticket to the playoffs, and all of a sudden, your season leading up to this doesn't matter anymore. It's not as big a deal. You can get a win at this racetrack, you can punch your ticket, and you can kind of start over from scratch here at Talladega Superspeedway once you get that victory. So, Stephen Racing is one. Greg Bourbonier is another one who's had speed at times, just has yet to kind of have race-winning speed. Tonight could go to victory lane, could win, and could punch his ticket to the playoffs. Stephen Luttrell is another one. A guy that at times has had speed, has not yet put it all together, and is looking tonight to put himself in victory lane. Jimmy Fitzmaurice is in the same boat in the 33. So we're in a situation where a number of guys who have had decent pace but just have not finished the job could very easily win tonight's race, and all of a sudden your season is completely turned on its head. With that being said, let's get into it. 58 laps to go at Talladega Superspeedway. A stage break is upcoming here at just about lap number 19. So coming back to the stage, white flag most likely here With that being said, the racing not as heated up front as you would expect, but with only 19 cars in the pack, there's not quite as much energy to generate those big runs that these cars are known for. Now, you've seen guys do it already, and guys will be able to do it all night, but right now, you're not seeing as many of those huge runs as we normally would. Back to the stage white flag. Travis Everett, a guy who 2 weeks ago I thought was in line to get his first win of the season. I thought for sure he was in prime position to get a win, punch his ticket to the playoffs. He had a good strategy. He had great speed. He was able to drive to the lead a couple of different times. It did not fall his way. He leads the way. Preston, again, the first-timer, is second. And now the battle for third begins. Christian Schrader out of line. Andrew Little out of line. Rusty Modesty, Jimmy Fitzmaurice, one more car on the top side of the racetrack. Trouble. Around goes Schrader. The Reese's Ford Mustang is sideways. The caution will come out, but Schrader trying to lock it down, trying to make the save, is now going to start to come back up, and he will maintain that race car. Quick trigger will end up being the stage break as well, so we're going to end the stage anyway as it was, but Schrader goes for a small slide and brings it to a halt. Now gets back going on the apron of the racetrack. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Schrader's able to hold it down on the apron. Nobody else crashes in the melee that follows, and the caution flag flies for one of the first times here tonight. Let's go back and look at it. He was in line with Andrew Little going down the back straightaway on the final time around here on this opening stage at Talladega, and Little tries to line him up for a push. And is it a push gone wrong? He gives him a pretty decent hit right there, but you see him get slightly offset right, and then as he tries to readjust, maybe he gets a hit from Rusty Modesty. He gets way off to the left and tries to recenter, and he's already at the left rear of Christian Schrader. Schrader goes for a slide down the banking onto the apron and somehow does not A, come back up, or B, spin it in front of this second pack that's coming along behind the leaders. And Schrader is able to hold it. Then he kind of loses it a couple more times, but somehow is able to keep it down there where that second group of cars is able to duck up out of the way, and Schrader's able to keep that wreck from being a lot bigger than it was. Try to find a different angle here. We'll go up top, and I can again show you what I mean when Andrew Little is going to make the push here. So in this car, there's a couple ways you can kind of get it to work. You can either have cars in line, you can slam draft, you can tandem, you can kind of do a combination of things to get this car to move forward. What Little is going for here, he's trying to hit and lock, and he's not able to lock. He never gets connected, and actually, as he tries to center back up after he hits Schrader the first time, Modesty got in the back of him and knocked him out of line, and as Little goes to try to lift, get back up, jump back in front of Modesty and behind Schrader, he's not quite clear and hooks the left rear of Schrader's car and sends him for a slide. Now again, props to Schrader, props to Little, props to the other guys around them to not involve more cars. I thought for sure that this was going to be a much more considerable incident than it was, but he's able to keep it down and bring out our first caution of the night. So that was the stage caution as well. Travis Everett picks up a stage win. If you'll remember back, I believe he won the stage in Bristol as well a couple of weeks ago. So Travis Everett, good couple weeks for the 13 machine, as he's got things rolling on the right track already tonight at Talladega as well, trying to tame the beast that is the Talladega Superspeedway. Want to thank everybody for coming out to another week of Challenger Cup Series racing. No race last week. The Easter week they had off. They did do some racing, but it was purely voluntary. Obviously no broadcast and no points awarded. So glad to be back here. Points racing here in race number 10. And glad to be kind of narrowing down this regular season. We're really getting down to it. Only a few weeks left in the regular season. In fact, let's go ahead and look at it while we're under the caution flag. After tonight, next Tuesday, we'll again follow the Cup Series, and we'll head on over to Texas Motor Speedway for another fun race, which should be interesting. Texas on iRacing, this next-gen car on iRacing, a little bit different than real life. Saw some complaints about it this weekend. I got to make the trip down to Talladega and take in this weekend's races, and the Cup race got some complaints, and admittedly this car in the real world is not the greatest super speedway racing product, but on iRacing they've preserved for us a pretty nice super speedway racing product. So this week Talladega, next week Texas. Again, doesn't really translate with what we've seen in the real life counterpart. But then after that, we'll go over to Kansas. That's always a fun racetrack in both real world and in the sim. And that will be the regular season finale. There are only 2 weeks remaining, folks, in the regular season here in season number 1 of 2025. From there, 5 playoff races, 2 in the round of 16, 2 in the round of 8, and 1 championship 4. North Wilkesboro and Charlotte will make up round number 1. It'll be All-Star Weekend, and then, of course, Memorial Day, following Memorial Day weekend for Charlotte. Round of 8 will be Nashville Superspeedway, one of my home tracks over here in my neck of the woods. And then the Irish Hills of Michigan will finalize the round of 8. That's a fun track in this car. It will be a fun product. I can't wait for that one. And then Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, will round out this season in the Final 4. And, of course, Season 2 begins with a very interesting start. Atlanta, Chicago Street Course, Sonoma, Dover, Indy to start that one. The first 5 races, a whole lot of chaos going to be going on in those races. Can't wait to get it underway. Season 1 of 2025 is off to a great start, and can't wait to continue it on forward. About to go back green for stage number 2, and the only other stage in tonight's race. Travis Everett has elected the outside lane for this restart. It'll be Curtis Preston, the rookie, to his inside. Again, Preston making his first start tonight. So far, so good. P2 got stage points, got to run with the leaders. So far, so good for the driver of the 12. So we'll keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on the points battle as well. Quick reminder, going into this week, Harold Watkins got the points lead, has a 40-point gap over now Andrew Little in second. Matt Aiden's third, 46 back of the leader, and Christian Schrader's fallen to fourth, 50 points back of the leader. Travis Everett now looms in that battle for second in points and the second seed in the playoffs as well. Everett up to 7 playoff points, make it 8 with the stage win here tonight at Talladega, and he looms for that second seed in the playoffs coming up in just a few weeks. A win would be huge for his regular season and his playoff hopes going forward. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag going to go back out, lap 22. Make it 23 on the board as the leaders pass by the start-finish line. A number of guys coming down to top off on gas on that past lap under the caution flag. I don't believe there's a fuel limit this week, but regardless, guys going to come and top off. You might be pretty close to the limit already if that's the case here at Talladega with a full fuel load. 53 laps, that's pretty close. We will still likely have to make one more pit stop. Down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch, headed for turn number 3. Travis Everett leads Curtis Preston, and now GT Irizarry as that outside line starts to get working. Jimmy Fitzmaurice up against the safety barrier in the high rent district. He's got Hunter Carlson, John Velocity, and a couple of other cars with him. Matt Hayden sporting some new and, shall we say, interesting colors tonight. We'll give you a view of that race car later on in the night's festivities. A couple other cars are in line back there around that group as well. Harold Watkins looked to be one of them. Looked like Christian Schrader was there as well. But up front, the rookie Curtis Preston doing a good job keeping Travis Everett out front. Tandem drafting here with a 13 up at the front of the field. Irizarry Modesty run 3-4. Then it's Little, Steve Potter, and Greg Bourbonier to round out 5, 6, and 7. The rest of the top 10, Brandon Beauchamp. One of his best runs so far, Kevin Zablutel and Stephen Luttrell up here towards the top 10. And now a second pack is forming back around Justin Malarkey and company that is losing ground. If they get to a second and a half back, they're going to lose the draft of the race leaders. But if the race leaders start to try to jostle around a little bit, I'm not sure if that will be an issue, or will it? They've already gone outside of draft range. And that makes things interesting unless these leaders really get to racing. So we'll keep an eye on that over the course of the next several laps. Everett continues to lead with Preston second. It also doesn't help that second pack that Preston was doing a whole lot of pushing right there, and well, will continue to stay on Everett's bumper. But as these guys get a little bit racier and start to side draft, that gap should come back down to earth just a tad bit from that second pack to the first one. So this first pack goes back to Brandon Beauchamp in the High Rock Vodka Chevrolet on the inside. Then the second pack is Malarkey, Rasick, Fitzmaurice, Hayden, Carlson, Watkins, Velocity, and Schrader. One lap down, well off the field, is Mike Martino, the third. He actually might be with this second group, and he is. The Buc-ee's Chevrolet tags onto the back end of the second pack, but he is one lap down. At the line, 26 up on the board, 50 laps to go, a third of the way through this one from Talladega Superspeedway, and This is shaping up to be an interesting one as now 10 cars have driven away from that second group, and that second group is losing time still. It's almost a 3-second delta now back to Jimmy Fitzmaurice, and they have gone to the wall. Now they are starting to get the memo to all get in line and not side draft, and as such, they're going to start to pick up time as the leaders kind of side draft each other. Andrew Little, Steve Potter, Stephen Luttrell doing some work along the bottom side of the racetrack to try to side draft this group apart, and as they do that, they will start to lose that time delta that they are already gaining. That they already gained on that second pack, who is now lined up, and they are actually now on the bottom, led by Jimmy Fitzmaurice for the most part. They are in line and now running right along that bottom line of the racetrack. So they will start to pick up draft. They will start to pick up the leaders little by little as this lead pack starts to look 2 by 2 with 48 laps to go. So far, only 3 takers: Little, Potter, and Luttrell on the outside line of the racetrack, and that's not going to help that second group at all. In fact, it's going to hurt them as long as more cars aren't up there. And now they try the switch, and this is going to be really interesting. They try the swap here at the front of that second group. This first group has not had to switch yet, so keep an eye on that as well. Coming back to lap 28, about a 40-lap full fuel load in this race car tonight, so we're looking at about 40, so the window will open somewhere in the vicinity of the next 10 laps. Pit stops later on in the race. They will probably be late in the race, much like the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, you may notice here in this series that not nearly as much riding around fuel saving as they were doing at Talladega on Sunday. iRacing does not really allow you the opportunity, shall we say, to do that in this race car. There's just not really a chance for anybody to fuel save. The way the package is set up, the way the aero package is, you really can't fuel save. It's very tough to lift off the throttle for that long. Now, you can save fuel, but it's not going to be like NASCAR where we're 4 wide for 30 laps fuel saving before everybody gets back going. This aero package, a lot bigger runs than the real-life cars. The tandem works a lot better than the real-life cars. You know, so combine those two things, and of course, you're not going to be able to fuel save when you're getting a huge run. So, naturally, this race is not going to quite be like the Jack Links 500 back on Sunday afternoon. This will be a lot more just run hard and you pit whenever your gas tank runs out and your crew chief pulls you to the pits and says, hey, we need a pit. Travis Everett continues to lead lap 29 as the field logs laps here at Talladega Superspeedway. 47 laps remain in tonight's event. This first pack is now singled out, but that second group led by Matt Hayden now has caught their draft and is slowly but surely closing that delta. They will get back to the leaders before this pit stop is made, and they are helped by the fact that Potter and Luttrell have lost this lead draft. They are tagging on barely to the back end. So that second pack is going to pick up the draft. A couple more cars in big numbers here in just a moment as they start to work their way back towards the leaders. So just about a second back of the tail end of that last car in line. Matt Hayden leads that second line, but up front, Everett, Preston, Irizarry, Modesty, Little. It's been the top 5 for about the last 10 laps. It has continued to be the top 5 until this point, until now. Greg Bourbonier may jump in for a moment. Steve Alexander, Little elbow to elbow in turn number 3. Matt Hayden and company, they're coming. They're 8/10 off the back bumper of Steve Potter right now, and you got to imagine with this second line running in the middle that Matt Hayden will take that run to the top unless this group goes to the wall. They have yet to do so, and they leave that penthouse open for Matt Hayden and company to jump up there when they get there. Off turn number 2, back down the Alabama Gang Super Stretch, past the Sunoco sign, past the RVs along the back straightaway here at Talladega. Getting a great view of this race down the backstretch. A couple cars have lost both drafts. That is, or actually it's just Jimmy Fitzmaurice. Might be Mike Martino as well, and it is. So Jimmy Fitzmaurice, a lead lap car. Mike Martino, a lap down car, have lost the draft. All right, the packs are back together. Make it 17 cars in this lead draft. And now my question is, and we haven't really seen it so far, with Preston being the pusher, the outside line has not really been able to materialize. They haven't really had the energy to get up alongside the leaders. Nobody's really tried to make a move yet among these top 5 to 6 cars, back to Brandon Beauchamp, who's kind of just hugged the bottom and gained positions. But now, with 6 cars in an outside lane led by Andrew Little, I imagine they're going to start to gain a little bit of traction. So Luttrell with a good push. And here comes that second lane. Little's alongside Irizarry. He'll get third. And now they try to track down the leaders. You see, Luttrell is tandem locked to the back bumper of Little's car. They are going to get a big run here off turn 4. If that 12 of Preston and the 13 of Everett can't get connected, they'll get a really nice run here into the tri-oval and will close on the leaders. To the outside, battle for the race lead at the line. 45 laps to go, 44 make it laps to go. And Andrew Little, for the first time tonight, goes to the point in that 68 machine. Luttrell follows him through. Kevin Zabludel is with them. Further back, a couple cars that were out there have dropped back down to the bottom side and leave them not really much help up on that outside groove. Zabludel about 3 car lengths, 4 now back to Steve Potter, and as such, Luttrell has to back off. Preston's able to push, and Luttrell goes right back to the race lead. Or Everett, excuse me, goes right back to the race lead. One continuous pack, about 8 cars in one line, 9 in the other, make it 9 in one and 8 in the other, make it actually 7 on the top as Racek has lost the draft in the Alltel Ford Mustang. So keep an eye on that as this race goes. 44 laps to go at the line. Actually, make it 42. I don't know what I'm talking about. 42 laps to go at the line. 34 on the board. 3 wide now. Back around Stephen Luttrell. Kevin Zabludel all the way to the safer barrier. Now will bring some cars with him on that outside lane. Andrew Little hesitates, has a chance to get up. Will not be able to, but slows that run down. Allows more cars to get clear on the inside lane. Let's see if anybody else goes up there. Carlson's going to test the waters. How about Justin Malarkey? He's going to test the waters. Good Superspeedway racer is that 73 machine, but Zabludel says no, sir. Jumps to the outside of the safer barrier. Zabludel wants to lead, but not a ton of cars that he's willing to push here. Hunter Carlson may be one of them that he's willing to jump in behind and push. Right as I say that, he splits to the middle and hangs out Carlson as well. 41 laps to go. 35 on the board this time by. And already we approach the halfway mark, 3 laps away from halfway home at the Talladega Superspeedway. Travis Everett, Curtis Preston, GT Irizarry, Rusty Modesty, Greg Bourbonier are your top 5. Then it's Beauchamp, Strader, Malarkey, Little, and Zabludel. Malarkey tested the outside, jumps back down to the bottom. About 6-7 rows deep in the field. Zabludel, Carlson, and Potter jump out there. Malarkey wants to. Can't get enough commitment there from the cars around him to jump out there and try to build a run. Off turn 4 once again. This time by it will be 40 laps to go, and now we will be inside the fuel window. Should anyone want a short pit, I can't imagine anyone will. I imagine they'll run it out. If that's the case, we'll be looking at pit stops just outside of 15 laps to go, if I have my numbers correct. I'll have to wait and see. Through turns 1 and 2. Single file, the first 6, 7, now 8 cars. Then it's Zabludel, Carlson, and Potter that are trying to work the top side, but just have not really been able to forge through. And now Zabludel jumps back in line, and it's all but 2 cars that are on the bottom, rim riding around this 2.66 mile oval. Similarly to the fuel saving of the new Gen 7 car and the racing of the old Gen 6 car as well. We're going to kind of just count off laps here for a moment. Log laps. Guys want to get to the end. Guys want to make it to the pit stop. Then have a look at the win and have an opportunity to go to victory lane and not wreck their cars before that. But right as I say that, here come a couple more to the outside. Justin Malarkey, our Darlington winner. Kevin Zabludel still searching for win number 1 on the season. They go to the outside of Strader and Beauchamp and try to make that outside work. So far, no other takers, and because of that, they're not going to be able to do a whole lot up there. They need 1 or 2 or 3 more cars before they can really start to mount a serious charge to the front. And at least 1 more. I would say 2 or 3, personally. Just kind of guarantee you get that run to the outside and get all the way to the lead. They might get to the bottom here in 5th and 6th. They're not content. And they're still rolling. So hang on just a second. Now Brandon Beauchamp He sees that, says, all right, I'm going to go for it too. See what I can get out of this. The High Rock Chevrolet jumps to the outside as Malarkey reaches third. Once you see that lane start to work, you'll see guys start going up there, and they might tandem right past the leaders here. Everett Preston not connected. New leader on the back straightaway, Malarkey. Zablutal goes to second, but they are not going to get clear. That bottom line now 3 deep. Pushing along the yellow line, Everett, with help from Preston and Irizarry, will even off. And oh boy, a big moment for Malarkey there. Zablutal got in the back of him, got him sideways, and almost hooked the 73 right in front of the whole field. Luckily for everybody behind that, they were able to skate by and nobody was getting in a wreck. Good save by Malarkey as well. Goodness, that was a huge moment right there. Malarkey and Zablutal lost all that track position too. They're all the way back in 11th and 13th. And now they have to try to rework that outside line. Try to get some cars to go with them. 38 up and down at the Talladega Superspeedway. Travis Everett continues to lead the way. Curtis Preston, GT Irizarry, Rusty Modesty, Greg Bourbonier are your top 5. Those have not really changed other than the bit of invasion from Zablutal and Malarkey just a moment ago. Coming back to lap number 40. While we have a break, I told him I would do this. Now, he's lost the draft, but we do have a bit of a lull. So there is a new paint scheme aboard the 5 car of Matt Hayden. And the sponsor is listed as EOL Jimmy. And without saying another word about the car, I'm going to put a camera on it for just a moment. You all can see the new paint job for Matt Hayden. And I am not going to comment. I'm going to let the paint do all the talking. I guess it's a good thing I'm letting the paint do the talking because I don't know what to say. This is certainly something. I thought you'd be able to see it off the suspension cameras, but not able to as Matt Hayden runs off the draft. But a new paint job for Matt Hayden. I'm trying to see if I can find a little better view, and maybe I picked a bad time to do that because the leaders are on pit road. Let's get away from that. Pit stops at Talladega with 34 laps to go. Andrew Little, Christian Schrader, Stephen Luttrell, Harold Watkins, Hunter Carlson, Brandon Beauchamp, Rusty Modesty, Steve Potter, and Kevin Zablutal bring their cars to pit road on lap 42. Next time by, expect the rest of this lead draft. Everett, Preston, Irizarry, Malarkey, and Velocity. Greg Bourbonier has lost the draft in this sequence as well. And then that second group, Rasick, Fitzmaurice, and Hayden will likely all pit this time by as well. Do they bring it to pit road? No, they're going to stay out. This is an interesting decision because they only have 5 cars. Not as much built-up energy in this group as there is going to be in that Andrew Little, Harold Watkins group. I don't know if this is the right call, but we're going to wait and see from this second group of leaders. So we await this group of lead lap cars to come to pit road, and they will. Everett, Velocity, Preston, Irizarry, Modesty come to pit road. And concede their positions. That group with Fitzmaurice, Hayden, and Rasick is also pitted. A couple cars notably are a ways behind the draft, and Christian Strader is one of them. Trouble on pit road with a 29 of Christian Strader. And this group with Modesty is very small now. It's just Modesty, Little, Watkins, and Zabludel. Carlson, Bourbonier, Luttrell, Potter have all lost the draft. Strader has as well. This group is very strung out, and now this group of 5, barring any penalties, is actually going to be the most connected of the 3 groups to pit with the most continuous cars, assuming Curtis Preston and Justin Malarkey can get caught up here. Here comes Strader. He's actually going to catch on to these guys. Modesty's group is in turns 1 and 2. And now coming down off the back straightaway, we'll keep an eye on them, look up ahead, and that group with Everett beat them off pit road. Now, if they can get connected, they can stay far enough away to maybe avoid the draft, and this becomes a really interesting race because we're down to just a few cars left to decide it, and that's, I believe, exactly what they've done. They're not fully wound up yet. We'll keep an eye on the Delta. 2.1, 2 flat right here off turn 4. They're going to get it down to about 1.9. Now, the 1.5 number is what you're looking for. Left side of your screen, 5th to 6th. Right now at about 1.8 is where they're stagnating. And if this group continues to push like they are, they might just run away. It's back to 1.9. And if that's the case, then minus Christian Strader, you're looking at the battle for the win here at Talladega with 30 laps to go. And I'm going to be honest. This is not the way I saw this race going. And alas, here we are. That we're only going to have one viable group that's going to contend for the win. That third one has now lost Zabludel. He is 4/10 out in the draft and losing time. That's going to leave them with 3 cars where this lead pack has 6. Now again, it's Talladega. There are no guarantees that this race finishes in the next 30 laps. Completely clean, completely without a caution. There's no guarantees. But here are the storylines if it does. Travis Everett is still looking for his first win. He's 5th in points, but looking for the win that would vault him into that conversation for the 2nd seed in the playoffs here in just a few weeks and greatly jump his chances of making the championship 4. Based on just playoff points alone. GT Irizarry is our winner from Phoenix. Several weeks back, he won that race on strategy. Coming into tonight, he was 6th in the point standings. And if he wins, he would automatically vault to that 2nd seed by virtue of a win with his 2nd win of the season. John Velocity coming into tonight, 7th in the points. No wins, no stage wins. 6 bonus points for stage points. But no points yet, real major stage points or win points for John Velocity in the 84. He's looking for win number 1. Strader is a lap down, so he is just trying to hang on in case there is a caution. Curtis Preston, tonight his first start ever in the Challenger Cup Series. He looks for win number 1 in start number 1. Justin Malarkey, our winner from 3 weeks ago in Darlington. Last week, Malarkey moved to 10th in the overall point standings. But he could really use some more playoff points. Sitting at 8, would vault him into that same 2-seed conversation. That 2nd group now has started to gain delta on this lead pack. So let's go through the storylines for those drivers. Rusty Modesty, currently running back in 6th, leading the 2nd group. No wins, no stage wins. 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s. It has not been the season that Rusty Modesty has wanted only 2 playoff points. Could add some playoff points tonight with a win. Would also be his first of the season and jump him in the points. Andrew Little, our winner from Martinsville. A win, a stage win, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. He's got 13 playoff points. And that would get him into the conversation for the top overall seed, as he would be only a couple playoff points back of Harold Watkins, who is, ironically, the car behind Andrew Little. Watkins runs in 8th right now, the points leader. He has the most playoff points in the field with 20. He's got 3 wins and 3 stage wins, 7 top 5s and 9 top 10s. Has been arguably the best driver on track this entire season. It could add a nearly unbeatable playoff point amount to his total with only 2 races left in the regular season. It could easily, probably tonight, lock up that top overall seed for the first season's playoffs. Tonight, Kevin Zabludel came in 18th in the point standings, and this is where Talladega gets interesting. Because if Zabludel was able to win tonight, theoretically, he could make his way to the playoffs. Now, I'd have to double-check eligibility on that. And if we go to a break at one point or late in the race, I will do so for you. Check on eligibility for Zabludel and see if he could make the playoffs with a win tonight. But I would imagine that he could. I gotta look and see what the start limit is. Most leagues have a limit where you have to start X number of races in order to be able to make the postseason. So I have to double check on that on Zabludel. Those are currently the 9 cars with a chance to win this race. That second group is just barely, I mean, the slightest of margins outside of draft range right now. They're losing a little bit more time, though, as the temperatures get hot underneath Andrew Little's car. 25 to go, but now this lead group has gotten a little bit split up, and that might allow that second group to grab some draft here in just a moment. They are literally 0.02 seconds outside of draft range. They need one more good push, and they'll be there. And it's 1.5 now, and they likely have draft. So watch for that second group of 4 to catch up, and this race is going to get real interesting when you consider the fact that five of the top 9 cars are going to be winless on the season. 5 of the 9 cars that are going to be in this lead pack are winless in the Challenger Cup Series this season. And everyone seems to be racing for some different incentive. Top playoff seed, second playoff seed, just getting in the hunt for the playoffs. Make it, just punch my ticket to the playoffs. A win in the first start. So much is on the table right now for the drivers in these first 2 packs. Now that second group we saw earlier, that second group caught the lead draft at a much faster pace. This second group is not quite able to do as good a job of catching this lead draft. They're actually stuck at 1.3 seconds back right now of the tail end of the last car, that is. Now they're going to get some help, though. As Brandon Beauchamp drops in, they'll be able to tow some draft off the back of the 8 machine. And they will be able to get up to the lead draft a little bit faster. Now you see that delta starting to come down at a quicker rate. So that High Rock Vodka Chevrolet is really helping that second group. They're under a second now, closing in quickly, and they're going to be here just in time for this race to really start to ramp up. Travis Everett and GT Irizarry are teammates most nights, and imagine they will be again tonight. Irizarry has a win and a bucket of playoff points, but wants to preserve his own season as well. Does he make a move on his teammate, or does he suffice to push Everett to his first win of the season and one that would vault him into the conversation for that second playoff seed? Headed to Texas next week. There's the move to the outside. The second group is here. Modesty, Little, Watkins, Zabludel. They're on the outside and charging to the front. Malarkey thinking about throwing a block, does not. Split to the outside, Little looks to the outside of Modesty. It's going to slow him down for a moment. Malarkey still thinking about taking it, and he does. Justin Malarkey to the outside. Malarkey looking for wins at Darlington and here at Talladega. Arguably should have had a third win in Atlanta, and he'd be in the conversation for the top seed in the playoffs as well with his playoff points. But today would be that third win, or that second win for him, that at least would get him back into that conversation for the second seed and give him a valid argument for advancing deep into the playoffs here in Season 1. Malarkey to the outside. He's got Modesty on his back bumper there, up to the Velocity machine. 21 laps to go. Take a breath. If you're going to grab a snack or a drink, go do it now. You might not have another chance. Talladega gets good once the lap counter ticks down underneath 20 to go. That's when guys typically start to get antsy. Hunter Carlson, Greg Bourbonier, Stephen Luttrell and company, boy, they're hoping it gets antsy because it's the only way anyone from 10th on back will have a look at this race. Schrader and Beauchamp both 1 lap down in this lead pack. Martino is now 1 lap down, getting close to going 2 laps down. Rasick, I don't know if he'll be caught or not. It'll be close. Then Potter, Hayden, and Fitzmaurice are about 21 seconds behind the lead draft. Or about 2/3 of the track in front of them right now. To the outside, Malarkey passes Velocity. Will he get to the right rear quarter of the Motorcraft Ford? He will. Justin, Malarkey, and Rusty Modesty trying to get to the front. Modesty looking for win number 1. Malarkey for win number 2. Same for Andrew Little. Watkins looking for win number 4 on the season. The points leader, Zablutal for win number 1. Everett for win number 1. Irizarry win number 2. Velocity, Preston would also be win number 1, as would... That's all of them here. As would John Velocity. Those would all be their first wins of the season, should they be able to make it happen at Talladega. Coming back, 19 laps to go. Everett leads, and we single file out. I was going to hit a quick side-by-side break. We're not Fox Sports. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it here. Brandon Beauchamp to the outside. He is 1 lap down. Schrader in the Reese's machine is as well. Keep that in mind at the end stages of this race. Those 2 cars are not on the lead lap. Travis Everett continues to lead the way, and he knows that this move is going to happen. He knows that at some point, somebody behind him, some group of cars behind him, is going to get too antsy to stay in line. They're going to make a move for the win. He just does not know when that will happen. If you're Everett right now, having been in this position, you feel incredibly helpless. As the leader, there's not a ton you can do. You can throw blocks, you can control lines, but really, once that outside gets the big run that we saw earlier, when they get tandem, it's really hard to block that. It's really hard to defend that. And so if you're Everett here, you're looking in the mirror, you're saying, all right, it's going to happen. When it does, you're either hoping your guy stays with you or hoping you can throw a block on it and keep the lead and maintain control. That will not be the end of the world if Everett were to get past before the white flag. I don't like being the leader here at the white flag. I want to be second, third, fourth. I want to be in a position where I can be on offense. It's easier for me to go on offense on the last lap than it is to try to play defense from all sides and all comers, especially in a car like the next gen where the runs are huge. And there's so much you can do with the side draft and the tandem. There's so much you have to keep in mind when you're playing defense in this car. I would rather be second on back. But Travis Everett, he's led a ton of laps. He got the stage win. And now looking to complete what would be basically a wire-to-wire performance, which at Talladega is unheard of in this modern race car. Coming back to the line, 16 laps to go. And throw a wrench in everything. I thought they were good to go. They are not. Pit stops. Little, Watkins, Modesty, Zablutal, and the lap car of Schrader begin our second cycle of green flag pit stops. And actually, as we've been kind of watching, that third group has gained time on the leaders. Now, it's not notable enough to say they're going to be in draft range, but they are gaining some time on this lead group. And should the lead 2 groups get separated on pit road, that group could be in position to pounce if they continue to gain some ground. They're just now over there off turn number 2. They've gained about a second and a half over the last 3 laps. Let's see if this group pits right here. I imagine they will. Just one lap after that first group. They will not. Oh, Malarkey. Oh, it was almost a bad decision. He stays on track. He jukes back up on track and will stay with this draft. 15 to go. And that group with Carlson now is actually going to hit pit road. So forget the ground they just made up as they will come down to their pit boxes. Now the group to watch will be Little, Modesty, Zabludel, Rasick, and Watkins. Actually, Steven Rasick is with them also. I don't think he has pitted yet. So keep an eye on this group. They're actually going to let Strader lead it. And keep an eye now on the time delta. Back up front for the leaders. At the line, it will be 14 to go. We expect this group on pit road at any point. Now, my other interesting thing, if they continue to go long, is they will be able to take a little bit less gas, potentially, than the group that just came to pit road. Now, iRacing is not like real life. You cannot be as precise with your fuel inputs on iRacing as you can in real life where, you know, for example, on Sunday afternoon in the Cup Series race, they were taking 4 seconds of fuel. Or 3.5 seconds of fuel. You can't do that in the iRacing simulator. It's not possible. Unfortunately, we just haven't implemented it yet, and it's a feature we don't have. But if you save enough laps to be on a certain delta, you can take about 1.5 gallons less, a little over 1 gallon less. You can just tick down that fuel by about 1.6 gallons, and it reduces your pit stop time by half a second, a full second, 1.5 seconds. So keep that in mind. This group continues to run long, and if they get inside like 12, 11, 10 to go, they could very easily take less gas. Now, that second group with Andrew Little is closing the gap between them. Not massively. It's not a monumental change, but slowly they're chipping away. Again, that will even out when this group inevitably has to take a little bit less gas on pit road. The other thing helping this group with their delta is that they've got more cars. They picked up Carlson, Luttrell, and Bourbonier after they made their pit stops. Off turn 4, here comes the lead group. Everett, he looks a little bit hot getting onto pit road. He's got to get that thing woed down, but he will by the time they get to the cone. He's on. All this group is on. Everett, Velocity, Irizarry, Preston, Malarkey, and the lap car of Beauchamp. And now the attention turns to Andrew Little. This group of 5, counting the lap car of Strader, that is only over on the back straightaway. Now watch how quick these pit stops are. They're just now in their boxes. A couple others, Fitzmaurice, Potter, and Hayden will make their pit stops. Velocity off and running. Everett, Malarkey, Irizarry now off and running. Curtis Preston stuck in his pit box. And he will inevitably lose that lead trap. But he will come off of the pit road with that Matt Hayden, Jimmy Fitzmaurice, Steve Potter group, so he won't be too far back. Watch for the Modesty and Little ones of Little group. They're going to be rumbling on the outside. Will they get there? It's going to be closer this time. 2.5 seconds. Second flat. This group still beat them off pit road, but now this group is a lot closer and not as put together. Everett thought about throwing the block. He actually almost threw the 68 in the wall. Whoa, that was almost disaster for Travis Everett as he thought about throwing a huge block. Not going to work, and this group will get swallowed up. Velocity will lead. If I was him, I would jump to the outside. Not going to have an opportunity. Will stay on the bumper of Justin Malarkey. Little on the outside. With Rusty, Modesty, Kevin Zabludel in tow. 2 guys that haven't won. Velocity on the bottom. He hasn't won either. 11 laps to go. Little to the lead with Modesty second. Irizarry shoots the middle with Everett. Through the middle they go. Right past Kevin Zabludel. Irizarry. Oh, not going to be able to bring Everett with him. Who does Watkins go with? He chooses the 17, and Everett now is in no man's land. Watkins trying to still pick. Everett goes to the bottom. Strader, the lap car, leads that bottom lane. Up top, it's Little, Modesty, Irizarry on the bottom side of the lap car of Strader, then Velocity, Malarkey, Everett. As Zabludel and Watkins try to figure out where to go. New leader in turn 4. John Velocity, surprisingly, has made it 10 races without a win. Was in the championship 4. A season ago at the end of 2024. Has not yet gone to victory lane in this season, trying to make a return to Pocono Raceway and potentially lock himself up a spot in the Phoenix Raceway Grand Finale in November. On the outside, Everett, there he goes. Irizarry trying to go with him, not going to be able to. Little is there. Modesty, Zabluto will come to help. Travis Everett, for the first time tonight behind the 8-ball, will go for it here with 10 laps to go, but they get squirrely back there in the outside lane. He's going to need some help now, is Travis Everett, I imagine. Irizarry will come up to get him. Modesty will hang with him on that outside line, but they are all kinds of discombobulated. On the outside, Modesty to the bottom, Irizarry to the bottom, and now Everett is hung in no man's land on the outside lane. Back to the start-finish line. 9 laps to go, single digits on the board. Malarkey is second, Irizarry is third, Watkins is fourth. All of a sudden, 3 of the cars in the top 5 have won at least one race this season. Irizarry, he looked to the outside of Malarkey. He's still trying to look. Trying to bring Watkins with him. They're going to go a lane higher than Malarkey, who tries to jump on the outside. Irizarry will now jump on his bumper. Nice block by Malarkey. So Zabluto, where does he go? He's going to hang in the middle as well. Little and Everett follow them, and now only 3 cars on the inside. They're going to get blown by. New leader in 3, it's Justin Malarkey. Malarkey won 3 weeks ago in Darlington to punch his ticket to the playoffs. Looking to go now for another win. Steven Rasick going to go a lap down here as the field gets to him. Coming back, 8 laps to go. This field will gain another car, and they'll have to go by Rasick. They'll have to fade to the middle. Schrader not getting the memo, and he's actually going to stay down and have to push that 21. And now the leader in the middle lane, Malarkey, goes to the bottom, but oh, did he leave that too soon? Got to come back up. Cover that run by Irizarry. Now can drag the field back down to the bottom. On the top side, it's Harold Watkins. He's won already at Daytona. He won the Bud Shootout. He won the next week in the season opener at Daytona. Proceeded to also win at Bristol. And now looking for a win here in Talladega. Remember, he got that second win in Homestead, but he does have a win on a plate track already. 7 laps to go. Watkins another run, but not a very loyal car on his back bumper here. Zabluto may see a win in his sights. Everett shoots the middle again. This time he'll bring Schrader with him, and this time they've got a bit of a run. Travis Everett again sees a win potentially flashing before his eyes. This time at Talladega, the lap car of Schrader will be the pusher, but it's not enough to make the middle work. Back to turn 3, next time by, 6 laps to go. Malarkey getting a really nice push. John Lassidy's another one to watch here if he's able to get clear. He has not yet won, neither has Rusty Modesty. Off turn 4, back down to the start-finish line. Malarkey, Irizarry, tandem away from the field just a little bit. Irizarry is very narrowly close to getting clear. He may get it by the time they enter turn number 1. Does he go for it? Not yet. 6 laps to go, and Velocity stays in line. Outside lane drops off just a little bit. Everett goes back to the bottom. Malarkey down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Watkins, Zabluto, and Little try to get another run going, but they are very out of shape right now. Schrader to the outside on the bumper of Watkins. Schrader just kind of trying to duke it out, trying to get a lap back, or at least be in position ahead of Rasick to get the free pass. So he will jump on the bumper of Watkins, and they will now try to work their way back to the front of the field. When we hit the start-finish line, 5 laps to go at Talladega. Justin Malarkey leads, but he's going to have some challengers here in just a moment. Rusty Modesty to the outside. Modesty in that green and white number 6 cuts into the wind, jumps in front of Schrader, and now he will look for win number 1. Oh man, Schrader's back and forth quite a bit on his back bumper. It's going to slow him up for a moment, but down the backstretch they have another nice run. Alongside Irizarry to the right rear quarter panel of the leader, but they're not connected. The bottom side is better connected. Modesty noses out front. Back into 3, side by side. The wild cards here, Zabluto, Modesty, Everett. They are the 3 wild cards in this lead pack because they have not yet won. through the tri-oval. 4 laps to go, and now Rusty Modesty is just short of 10 miles away from win number 1. Back to the banking of turns 1 and 2. Modesty, Strader, Watkins, Zabloodle, Everett, the outside lane. Malarkey, Irizarry, Velocity. Further back, Rasic, the inside lane, as Little jumps up to help the top. Modesty goes back to the lead. Harold Watkins lurks. Zabloodle and Everett do as well. Do they think about shooting the middle? There may have been a thought there from Kevin Zabloodle. He and Everett really are not going to have much of a choice. They're going to have to try to get to the front and make moves from there. Rusty Modesty now is clear of every lane. Strader jumps out from behind him. So now Strader will have to wait on Malarkey. Modesty going to wait on the help of Watkins. Look at Zabloodle to the inside, goes to 17. He will tan him up with the race's Ford Mustang. Look at Everett. He's going to shoot the middle. Travis Everett shoots the gap. He's got help coming from Irizarry and Velocity. Contact as they reach back towards turn 1. 3 laps to go. Watkins now hung out. Everett looking another lane. Travis Everett goes right through the middle. Not to be denied. The Black Rifle Mustang comes from 8th to the lead here on the back straightaway. Irizarry is his help. John Velocity, he's not won yet this year. Neither has Rusty Modesty. Both of those drivers going to be extra desperate. Down the back straightaway. Remember, if we get to the white flag, the race will be official. We will race it out under green. If not, if we do not get there, 3 overtime attempts are available. Everett blocks the bottom. Actually, not a bad move considering there's not as much help on that top lane yet. Everett to the push of Modesty. Strader along with them. Outside, Irizarry, Velocity, Little. The lap car of Rasic and more cars out back. 2 laps to go. Tandem on the outside. Irizarry will nose ahead. No, he won't. Bottom side comes roaring back. Everett by half a car length here in turns 1 and 2. He's going to trust that push of Rusty Modesty, but it may not be for as much. Here comes the outside. Velocity thought about a split. Doesn't do it. Stays in line for the time being. Allows that bottom lane to actually hang alongside. Here comes the cavalry. Zabloodle and Harold Watkins are along with those bottom 3 cars. Velocity pushing for all he's worth. At some point, if you're John Velocity, you've got to go for it here. This is your best chance so far this season of a win. He's going to have to make a desperation move. The field works back through the tri-oval one more time. Barney, the flagman's got the white flag hanging out over this 2.66 mile oval, and we will make it. White flag is up. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Back down towards the banking of turn number 1. Everett on the push from Modesty. Both cars are now clear. Where does Rusty Modesty make his move on the last lap? Here comes that outside lane. They get a little squirrely. Modesty looks, peeks, trying desperately to get one headlight out from behind Travis Everett. He does. Modesty to the outside. Zabloodle bullies his way to the middle. Trouble out back. Harold Watkins involved. Other cars spinning sideways. Modesty to the lead. Zabloodle is second now into turn 3. Zabloodle now, the question moves to him. Modesty is the leader. Back down to the final time off the banking of turn number 4. Everett looks. Nothing there. He's got help from Strader if he backs up. Zabloodle's got to go for it. Not going to. Zabloodle jumps out. Down Zabloodle back to the bottom. Everett jumps high. Modesty covers that too. Zabloodle to the outside. 3 wide through the tri-oval. At the start-finish line, Travis Everett steals it at Talladega. Travis Everett out from underneath both Modesty and Zabloodle, who got so focused racing each other that Travis Everett steals it in an all-time finish in race number 10. Take a breath. That was awesome. We will have to go back to the official timing and scoring and the replay image to give you an exact margin, but we'll do that in just a moment because I imagine that this will be quite a celebratory burnout for Travis Everett. As he finally gets to victory lane. Down the front straightaway, shades of Kyle Larson. And he will park it, complete his victory burnout. What a race. What a finish. What a win for Travis Everett. We'll go through your finishing results first. Then we'll go back, take a look at the replay of what was an instant classic finish here at Talladega Superspeedway. Then we'll get to interview the three involved in that finish in just a moment. So stick with us here. We're going to go through the finishing results first. Travis Everett wins by 35 one-thousandths of a second for win number 1 on the season. Rusty Modesty finishes second, and Kevin Zabludel in third. The 3 drivers in the lead pack, 3 of the 4 that had not yet won this season, all come home in the top 3. In fact, they all come home in the top 4. John Velocity finishes 4th. All 4 drivers that were winless end up 1, 2, 3, 4. Justin Malarkey 5th, Andrew Little 6th, Hunter Carlson 7th, Curtis Preston 8th, a respectable first start for him. Greg Burbanier 9th, and Harold Watkins back in 10th after getting crashed on the last lap. GT Irizarry involved as well. He finishes 11th. Matt Aiden 12th. Jimmy Fitzmaurice 13th. Steve Potter 14th. Christian Schrader 15th. Stephen Rasick in 16th. Brandon Beauchamp in 17th. Steven Luttrell in 18th. And Mike Martino in 19th position. Well, let's go back and watch a replay of really the whole last lap because, I mean, why would we just stop at the finish? There was stuff happening all that entire last lap. So let's try to get back there. There we go. So let's rewatch the entire last lap of this race. So going into turn number 1, Everett led with Modesty out back, and this gets shuffled really several times. Irizarry Velocity get enough of a run for Rusty Modesty to say, look, I'm going to go now. I'm going to just jump out there. And Travis Everett ends up in the sucker hole here. And, oh, Irizarry gets turned out back. Let's take a look at that. I believe it might be John Velocity. We'll have to make sure that this stands here because Velocity, there was contact between Watkins and Irizarry, so I imagine this is going to be a racing incident. But Velocity gets in the back of Irizarry. He gets Harold Watkins. Justin Malarkey actually catches a piece of this as well. Little has to jump on the brakes. Stephen Rasick, nowhere to go for him. Velocity is actually able to maintain this draft. So is Malarkey, and so is Andrew Little. And then it's Rusty Modesty and Kevin Zabludel out front. And coming back to the start-finish line, you feel like it's between the 6 and the 17. But Everett makes the first move. Zabludel covers. And then Modesty goes to block Everett up in the outside lane. Zabludel catches a push at the perfect time from Schrader. Modesty sees it, goes back down to cover. Goes a little too far, ends up with 2 tires on the yellow line. Zabludel splits the middle, hits the 13. Gets enough of a side draft to get past, almost past the 6, but Everett gets a push at the perfect time from John Velocity, and it produces a stunning 3-wide finish in a race that was green from the stage break to the checkered flag, and it still produces a great photo finish here at Talladega. We'll try to give you an angle that is somewhat close to give you an idea of the gap. Well, that's not really stopped it a little bit too early, but we'll try. Try to slow it way down and stop right as they cross the line. And there's your margin of victory tonight at Talladega Superspeedway, and boy, was it as close as ever. Let's see if we can't find one that is a little bit better. There it is. The margin of victory tonight at Talladega Superspeedway, a total classic after the stage break. Let's go grab your top 3 for some interviews. They were just involved in the best finish of the season easily here at the Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to go grab them for some post-race interviews. So we'll be right back here on PGR eSports. Welcome back to PGR eSports coverage of the Challenger Cup Series. Coming back to post-race coverage from Talladega Superspeedway race number 10 into a classic photo finish. And we're about to hear from all three of the men involved in that finish. We'll start first with Kevin Zabluto, who was inches away from his first win of the season and vaulting himself out of that 18th place points position. He will still do that, but we'll have to continue to wait to get win number 1 and punch his ticket officially to the Challenger Cup Series playoffs. Let's see what the 17's got to say about tonight's race. Kevin, it's Dawson Wise in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I gotcha.
Well, a complete classic. Gave you guys a chance to catch your breath, but, I mean, you can't ask for much more than that at Talladega. A lot going on. Last lap, second off turn number 4, the perfect position. You end up coming home third, though. Take me through your night and a hectic finish here at Talladega in race 10.
Here in Oklahoma. Are you there?
Yeah, Kevin, you gotta still, you can feel free to.
I'm back on my cell phone, but that was a hell of a run. We had a little power surge here. We got the storms rolling through Oklahoma City right now, but that was fun.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch, and a third-place finish for you. Look, coming into tonight, 18th in the points. Obviously looking to get some points tonight. You do that. You have to wait on the win, but look, what does this do for momentum? I know it's a wild card race. I talked to guys last week about it, or 2 weeks ago, about it, kind of the wild card aspect, but, what can this do for you as a driver? We're 2 races away from the playoffs. What does this do for your momentum here going forward?
Had a lot of work travel lately, so I've missed a lot of races, so I'm buried in points. And honestly, I don't even know if I'd be able to make a playoff run, but it sure would be nice to carry some momentum and be able to make my way into the playoffs and make a run at it. So we'll see what happens. I don't claim to be the greatest driver in here. We got a lot of great guys that have come over from a previous league that we all used to run in. So it's a wild card race, like you said, and just happy to get some points out of it and have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, absolutely, and we'll look forward to the last 2 races of the regular season as well. We'll also keep an eye on that point situation for you as well. So, third place tonight, obviously, coming off turn 4, made a look at the win. I know it's going to sting a little bit, but you're still on the podium. It's still a good night. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out here on your way out the door?
I got to give a shout out to Rusty for driving like me coming through the trial on that last lap. He always tells me at these speedway races that I make one move too many and I get greedy and I end up costing myself the win, and he did the same thing tonight. So it's nice to kind of rub it in his face a little bit.
Well, thank you for talking to me here for a second.
And of course, Waterford Concepts, best 3D printers in the world.
Well, absolutely. A big shout out there to Waterford Concepts as well. Thanks for talking to me for a second, Kevin. Go enjoy this third place finish. Go celebrate. Stay safe in the storms as well, and we'll talk to you next week in Texas. Kevin Zabluto, third place finisher tonight, obviously dealing with a little bit more stuff important than racing, so we'll let him get back to it with storms rolling through the Oklahoma City area. We'll go now to the man who finished in second, and I can't imagine. You heard Kevin Zabluto actually segues really nicely into what we're going to ask Rusty here. Off turn 4, did a couple bonsai blocks. They don't end up working. In fact, they may end up costing him the race when all is said and done. He comes up just short of win number 1. Still a good run for him tonight. We'll talk to him about it here after his second place finish at Talladega.
No.
Rusty, it's Dawson, the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Dawson.
Well, Obviously not the result you wanted. Leading off turn 4, a hectic last lap. You make a couple blocks. Both of them were good. At the end of the day, it gets kind of swiped out from under your feet. Win number 1 goes by the wayside. Take me through an insane last lap here at Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, coming to the white flag, I was like 280 something degrees. So, you hit close to that 300 mark, you're liable to blow up, or likely to blow up. So, I had to end up backing off there right as the white flag landed and gained another run. But I think towards the very end, coming out of 4, just threw one too many moves, lost too much momentum, and I think that was the contributor. So saw some energy coming from the outside and kind of wanted to grab it, and when they split, it's kind of left in the sucker hole. So happy that Christian was there with a head of steam and gave me a little bump. So I think that kind of sacrificed P2 for a P3. But man, would love to come home with a win tonight. But sometimes cards aren't really all in your hands.
Well, obviously an unfortunate end to what looked like it might have been your first win. Regardless, +2 positions and points. You're up to now a tie for 8th. 2 races left in the regular season to gain some ground, position yourself for the playoffs. What's your strategy to keep the momentum going? And position yourself in the best way possible for this playoff run coming up in a few weeks?
Oh man, I've been my own worst enemy. I've had too many pit road penalties, and some of the controllables that haven't really been hit well for me this season. So really just kind of focusing on the basics. I feel if I can do that, I'll be in a good fighting shot. But man, limiting the dumb errors, that's what I really need to work on right now.
Well, nonetheless, a second place finish for you here tonight certainly is going to help just a little bit in the points department. Now, top 8 headed to the last 2 races of the regular season. Before we let you go and enjoy it and take a breath after a hectic finish here at Talladega, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to all the members that come in every week and race with us. So you guys really make it a pleasure, and hopefully that was some exciting racing tonight, and it was competitive and clean. So couldn't ask for a better group. Thank you for broadcasting and putting on a great show for us, for all of our friends and family to watch. So we all love that. Shout out to Lindsay, Jimmy's wife. She's the glue that holds us together. And then shout out to one of our Title League sponsors that you'll see on Andrew Little's car, Waterford Concepts. So hit them up for all of your 3D printing and engineering needs.
Well, thanks for talking to me for a second. Congratulations on the second place finish. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will talk to you next week in Texas.
Thanks, Falcon.
Second place finisher, Rusty Modesty. We had the first place finisher, Travis Everett. I don't see him anymore. So we will give him a few moments here, and we'll talk some more about the race as we get ready to conclude tonight's coverage from Talladega Superspeedway. And it was great. It was awesome racing. It was, everything you kind of wanted of a Talladega race. It had a little bit of chaos. It had some fuel strategy. It had some, clean, hard racing towards the end. It had chaos on the last lap and had a photo finish to cap it all off. And it had just about everything. And I feel like that's been kind of a story of the season so far this year. A lot of these races have kind of had a little bit of everything in terms of action, fuel strategy, and everything else, in between. Hard racing, clean racing. These guys have talked about how clean this series has been this season, and it really has been. You can't say enough about it in terms of the cleanliness of this racing, but how competitive these guys are, how hard they race each other. Yet they're still able to put on clean shows like they are. Tonight's no different at all. What a race. A classic, a banger, whatever adjective word you want to use to describe it is what we got tonight. Now we've got the winner here that's in Challenger Cup Series victory lane. He's been waiting to hear me say that for a bit. I'm going to say it again here when I pull him into the broadcast room. Travis Everett, for the first time this season, is a winner in the Challenger Cup Series. Let's hear what he's got to say about it. Travis, it's Dawson in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. We got you, brother.
Well, I said it a minute ago. I'll say it again. In victory lane for the first time this season. And, a couple times this year, it's felt like you had the car to win. It's felt like you had the strategy to win. Most notably, 2 weeks ago at Bristol. It felt like everything had lined up. You were going to get the win. it slips away from you. And honestly, tonight, on the backstretch, kind of looked like the same situation again. It looked like, cruel circumstances had taken one away, but you were not going to be denied. You go to the outside, a bonsai move, you get the win at the start-finish line. I mean, first off, take me through, the last lap, the scramble to the end. Take me through what was going through your head, through the tri-oval even, just the amount of jostling that was going on.
Oh yeah, I was thinking we were cooked again after we lost GT there. GT and especially Curtis after the last pit stop, and they have stuck with me through thick and thin there. And yeah, just kind of a Hail Mary. I don't go a couple laps back, throwing it 3 wide there, going into 1. A little bit of contact with Rusty there going into 1. I can't believe it didn't turn everybody, but yeah, coming to the tri-oval there, kind of threw it out there as a prayer, and John answered the prayers there. I can't throw enough thanks to him. He's definitely the reason we're sitting in victory lane here tonight.
Well, look, let's talk about the points. Obviously, coming into tonight, you were 5th. 3 positions gained thanks to the win tonight, and some misfortune from a couple guys ahead of you in points now puts you 2nd in points and in the conversation now for that top 4 playoff seed that gives you a pretty nice advantage heading into the playoffs to make it to the championship 4. Kind of going forward now. Texas next up on the schedule. Kansas a week after that. 2 races left in the regular season. What's the game plan to gain playoff points? How are you going to go about it? You're in a decent position. How are you going to get that position better and carry this momentum here into the postseason?
I think we're just going to approach them like we have the rest of the races this season. We've just been off just a little bit of strategy, just kind of adjust that. And I feel like we'll be in a good spot. I like Texas. I like Kansas. I know GT's the same way, and we pretty much run about the same pace at those places. So, yeah, looking forward to see how that plays out. But I think we're sitting in a good spot. I think we're about 40 points out of the lead. I mean, they run good, but definitely some ground that we cannot make up there. But win put us in the right spot.
Puts you 2nd in points, and like you said, trailing now just Harold Watkins in the raw points, and we're in the conversation for that 2nd overall seed in the playoffs. And one more thing before we get to the shout-outs, just want to start talking about the playoffs. Again, we are 3 weeks away from postseason racing. What's the confidence level going into the playoffs here in Season 1 in 2025?
Oh, they're high. I know we compete with these guys we have before. Just looking forward to getting out there on the track with them. Got some good tracks coming up for us. I know some other guys, they run good there too. So it's going to be interesting, but I definitely feel good about the spot we're in.
Well, no reason not to after a victory here tonight. So while we have you here in Challenger Cup Series victory lane, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just you for doing this week in, week out. GT, great teammate. We had Curtis come on this week, so he's joined the league, and he was right there with us. Curtis ain't gonna run second to anybody too often, so yeah, just looking forward to that. Curtis has a lot to offer for everybody coming in. So yeah, just looking forward to going forward and hoping we can get another win or 2 here.
We look forward here to the end of the regular season and the playoffs looming just 3 weeks away. Congratulations on the win. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We'll talk to you next week in Texas.
Appreciate it, brother. And one last shout out to John there. He had to pick up somebody, I reckon. He chose us. So yeah, thank you, sir.
Travis Everett, the 13 in Challenger Cup Series victory lane for the first time here in 2025. It's going to all but do it for our coverage as we bring you back to a live overhead shot of the Talladega Superspeedway. And what a race it was at Talladega as Travis Everett, for the first time this year, gets the victory at Talladega. We'll give you another slow-mo shot of this finish on our way out the door. Racing returns next week in the Challenger Cup Series as we head to Texas Motor Speedway. No Limits, Texas, for the second to last race in the regular season here in Challenger Cup Series action. We'll be back on the air about 8:40 p.m. as per the usual. We'll be looking forward to bringing you back into this one into the broadcast booth with us as well as we head forward to Texas. Kansas follows that, and then we're playoff racing for 5 weeks after that to close out Season 1. Travis Everett wins at Talladega. Head on over to the main PGR page right now. Michael Triscaro, Ron Morris have you on the call for Ron Morris Racing's Tuesday Night Thunder. As tonight, I believe it's round 8 of the series is, I believe, back at Talladega Superspeedway. That race is going on now. or shortly anyway, that will be going off with Mike and Ron on the call for you here on PGR eSports. My name is Dawson Wise. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We will see you next week from Texas Motor Speedway.